sign it. Indeed, this weekend, he's been indicating that the chances of a deal are less than 50-50. And then yesterday, he complicated things by speaking, and I must say this with respect to the facts, absolute nonsense about immigration, and about his other topic was windmills, using that as a reason not to necessarily sign the deal. The EU wants a deal. U.S. officials want a deal. We just don't know if that man on your screen right now wants one.
Well, what was he saying that was nonsense about immigration?
Oh, he was talking, just repeating the standard lines that immigration is an existential threat to Europe. And of course, I live in Europe. And of course, I lived in the UK for almost 40 years. I just listened to 10 minutes of commentary on immigration on your channel, a lot of which was misinformation. I could talk to you right now about what the real figure is regarding channel crossings compared to 2022. Indeed, channel crossings are down 15% compared to 2022. I can talk to you about the number of asylum seekers in hotel.
But they're up 50% on last year.
Yeah, but they're down since 2022, which you never seem to mention. And you never seem to mention the fact that there are these fluctuations. The number of asylum seekers in hotels is down 15% from last year. That's down 15% from last year. It is not illegal to cross the channel in a small boat if you claim asylum. It's perfectly legal under international law. And about 70% of asylum seekers in the UK, their claims are eventually accepted. In other words, they have a legitimate case to come to the United Kingdom. The same thing has been said in many countries, false claims about immigration in Europe. I'm very concerned about the fact that you get out the proper information, precisely whether it's in the US, the UK, or Europe, because this misinformation, especially when it's amplified time and time again, does feed tension, it does feed discord, and it does feed violence, which, by the way, is one reason why the government made the announcement yesterday about that concern about what is going on social media. You know, the fact is that we went through an episode in the UK last year where misinformation, falsehoods about what happened in Southport fed violence for 2 weeks in the country that used to be my home. And that type of thing from all people, whatever our views in terms of border security versus the rights of asylum seekers, is something we should be concerned about.
Scott, one thing, first of all, it is illegal to enter the country on a small boat from France under British law. That is a criminal offence.
But not under international law. See, that's something that you probably should mention as well, that this has been a right which has been guaranteed.
Yeah, well, this is Britain. This is British law we're living under here at the moment, so that is illegal.
And
so
you also observe international law.
It is a criminal offence.
But there's a conflict because the government also purportedly observes international law, does it not?
Well, I don't know. You need to ask the government that. But this is British law, and it is illegal to do that. And the statistics and the numbers we use come from the government. So are you accusing the British government of spreading misinformation?
Which statistics are you referring to?
The number of migrants the number of migrants in hotels. When you say they have gone down, yes, they have gone down slightly because the government are moving them into private homes.
No, the government are using a different variety of tactics for handling them. Part of the reason why the number of asylum seekers has gone down in the UK is because it's become much more difficult to claim asylum in the UK. In other words, you speak a lot about people who cross by small boats into the UK, but you don't speak about the overall number of undocumented migrants. Now, the number of undocumented migrants in the UK is not surging. That's something that you don't report. And indeed, the number of overall immigrants into the United Kingdom last year was close to 1 million. So the number of people that cross by small boats compared to migration in the UK is less than 5%. So in other words, by focusing on small channel people day after day after day, you don't get the overall figure on migration, which includes a lot of different types of people. It includes students, it includes professionals, and it includes undocumented migrants who don't happen to come by boat, but come by other means.
Yeah, but well, as you will know, there is a great deal of concern about the net migration figures. I mean, yes, there is a focus on what is happening crossing the channel, but the net migration figures are a tremendous concern to the people of this country.
But they dropped significantly last year. Net migration figures dropped by about 35 to 40% last year.
Yeah, but, well, yes, they did, because they got absolutely out of control. But they're still massively high.
But they came down last year. Now, are you reporting that? That
Yes,
in fact, the net migration came down.
Yes, we did. Yes, we absolutely did report that. But they're still massively high. I mean, we're talking. It's only 10 years or so ago we had a prime minister talking about getting it to the tens of thousands, and we are in the hundreds of thousands.
No, well, why would you want to get overall net migration down to the tens of thousands?
Well, why not? Why can't we have control of our borders? Why can't we bring those figures down? Why can't we, the people we're bringing in to work here, why can't British people be doing more of those jobs? I mean, it's a legitimate point, isn't it? We are an island nation.
You know, I was one of those net migrants to the UK, of course.
Well, yes, indeed, as of course.
Right. So you know that many of those net migrants are professionals. Do you know that many of those net migrants are students who come to the UK and they pay international fees to study here? Do you know that many of those net migrants are people who come to work in the National Health Service, for example?
Yes, we know that.
Of course we do.
Okay, so why are you concerned about reducing net migration to almost zero if many of those net migrants actually are making contributions to the UK?
The government are also concerned about it, Scott. It's not just Stephen and I sitting here being concerned about it.
No, I'm asking you. You whip up this idea that any migrant to the UK is a drain, at least on the UK, or is a threat to the UK. Why do you do that?
No, well, we don't. That isn't what is said at all. But what is said is that many people fear that number is too high. And yes,
why do they fear it? Why do they fear it?
Why? Because there's a lack of housing. There's pressure on the NHS. There's pressure on education. All of these sort of things, which are causing people a huge amount of concern in this country.
So because there's a legitimate concern about housing, which there's been in the UK for many years, because there's a legitimate concern about healthcare, which there is for many years, and there should be, instead of saying that the fundamental issue in Britain for many years is that there has been a failure by governments across the political spectrum to deal with housing effectively, to deal with education effectively, to deal with the health service effectively, you simply don't say that. Instead, you blame migrants, all migrants.
Well,